Yeah, just released with Andre Wade. Once again, just come to reminisce about some things. I pray peace upon y'all families today. I pray peace upon those who are incarcerated, men, women, and teenagers. Yeah, I'm sitting back, enjoying myself a bowl of vanilla ice cream. Yeah, you know, ice cream is so good, like in the wintertime and during days like these where it's raining outside. You can sit back and enjoy you some ice cream. I remember I was in prison and I was on a unit that didn't sell ice cream. They only sell popsicles, like, you know, they didn't want to sell you Bluebell. That's when Bluebell was having this problem and wasn't putting out on the market. Well, on commissary day, well, there's Bluebell sale. They sells out. They can't hold enough for Bluebell in, no, in them commissaries. But it's a blessed day, another good day, and I hope y'all enjoyed yourself yesterday. I uh I topic this because I remember meeting guys in prison, right? And I knew a lot of people. I knew a lot of men in prison. From the Icy Mites to the Buckwheats to the Thunders to the Caveman, the Harvey to the, Pretty Tony to, just naming so many of men that I knew and lived among. Dirty Dan. There was so many of them. Twin, KC. All these people I did time around on East Ham. And we end up on other units together after being shipped from East Ham. I remember KC and then you had AC. You had KC and AC. Our both was out of Houston. Thank you for the thumbs up. Big Dre, what's up? I'm chilling. Being careful, and how I think about what to do. But these guys I did time around, so many of them, Big King out of Galveston, and so many of them, Blackface out of Dallas, and so many inmates, right? So many men in prison, they go by a lot of nicknames. So sometimes it's hard to identify a person if they call themselves South Park. There's so many South Parks in prison, and I wouldn't want to go by that. But it's a lot of South Parks. You're going to call me Dre Dog. You're going to call me Dre Dog. All right, appreciate that. And that's just what it's about, sharing, right? Sharing what took place. Regardless if it was a disaster or it was a holiday time, because a lot of things go on during the holiday time. I try to make y'all laugh. I ain't trying to make y'all cry. I want y'all to know what it's like for you to love somebody that's done got locked up. If and I'm gonna tell you, and this the truth with me. If I seen a man that I did time with on the outside, and I knew the type of life that he was living, and I would probably give him up if if it's unfair for the person that he's with. And that's how I feel, because you have so many men in prison, they do things, and they don't want to tell nobody on the outside because they feel ashamed of what they done. But a person shouldn't feel ashamed of something that he didn't feel ashamed for in prison, because it was people on in the inside. So why get on the outside and be ashamed of what you done in the inside? Because you supposed to be who you are. And that's what a lot of people stress when they're in the penitentiary. That's me. That's me. That's me there. That's me. I can do that. I'm a man. And that's the kind of, things that they shout and they do, but they get in the world and don't want to tell nobody. And to a degree, I might agree with them to a certain degree. To a certain degree. But here it is. I do videos on a daily basis. So and throughout these videos, Raver in the house, Raver in the house. Yeah, it's crazy. And that's really one of the main things that I like to bring to y'all attention. Also, the conditions that they are doing against TDC. $100 is nothing for a man that's been incarcerated for 20 something years. That's crazy. $100. So the system is designed for a person to come back to prison. Because let's say a person get out and don't have no family, don't have no support. His chances of coming back are far more greater than him staying in society and making it. Because he's only going to be able to know what to go do, and that's to survive. $100. When I went to prison in 1990, they was giving you $200. And they took that away. Because they still trying to handicap an offender. And what's so crazy about it, the offenders that's incarcerated is not trying to better their finances situation, and not looking for the long run, because they so counting on the people that's doing for them on the outside. But if they was getting paid, while doing time, like so many other states, they have a better chance when they get out with saving money from working. And I know it's not a whole lot of money, but it's monthly money that you can get paid and you can save. Texas prisoners, they say, is a sorry bunch. And I was a part of that system. And we tried of doing that. We tried filing lawsuits about that. We tried to do a system lay down that, which if they would have laid down then one of our requirements was to get paid, and that they needed to reevaluate the parole system. Yeah, I'm glad I made it out too. Hey, and I'm talking about, and I felt like I won't never get out. I felt like I wasn't gonna never get out. And you know, you feel that way when you've been brought up in a system that that's made for you to fall, for your failure, for you not to grow in education or nothing. The education system, it just bloomed because the people on the outside was getting tired of offenders getting out and not knowing only what to do but field work. That's all they knew how to do was field work. So the people on the outside, when they voice their opinion about what's taking place in the system, it counts. It counts. And so that's one of the reasons why I speak out on Just Release about anything and everything that goes on in prison, and not just one subject. Not just worrying about somebody getting beat up or somebody in that nature. We need to know that the people out here can make a change for the people inside of prison. Cause they might not make no ever change for themselves getting out. Yeah, they do give away a lot of time. They give away a lot of time. I believe that you know when they change those laws, I think every 3-4 years, uh, they go into the house and they make up these laws to to affect against the offender, and trying to keep them in prison longer with the laws that they make, and in these courts they getting outrageous out in giving time to some of the people that I feel that just don't belong in prison. They give time to everybody. They trying to make 15-year-olds adults and all that. Now Esam is in Huntsville. Ramsey One is down south, down here in Fresno area, down that way. You got a lot of prisons down this way, down there in Fresno and Angleton area and all that. Uh, but Eastham is in Huntsville, and you have Ferguson, which is across the bayou, the river, and you have so many units in that area of Huntsville, which is the locked up city of the state of Texas. You know, and I'm scared of Huntsville. I'm scared of Huntsville. Don't want to go back. Don't want to go on no Bluebird. I don't want to go on no bicycle. I don't want to go on no motorcycle. I don't even want to go in it at all. I want to stay away from Huntsville unless I'm just traveling through it and have to go through it. That is a locked up city, and a lot of people that's they that's their livelihood, working in prison, training hound dogs to run a man down. When you go to Huntsville, you hear oh around now, roosters and stuff in Huntsville. I don't want to be. I done got tired of the country style of living in the penitentiary. But I met so many men in prison, right? And a lot might not liked it me, because I didn't like a lot of them. But we liked it one enough to be able to respect one another. You know, I got into some mix with some people while doing time. My time wasn't just peaceful. Uh, uh, I had to gain respect. Yeah, you already know it, and then that's what's crazy. I remember one time I was on McConnell, and when you on McConnell, you go through Darrington. That's a layover. Man, I was coming to the cell with my property, and when I got to the cell, a cockroach and a rat was fighting. Well, mice. A cockroach, a big nice cockroach, and a mice was fighting. I'm talking about tumbling. I'm talking about squabbling. And I stepped on both of them and killed both of their butt. But I didn't go in that cell. I didn't go in that cell. I went into another cell. And that's how Darrington was in them days. You just did what you wanted to do. And the transit was so filthy and water all in the cell. Sometimes I go in the day room and just stay in the day room. And with the other people that was able to go to the day room, and when it's rack time, and I'm going to, they say, hey, where you going? I said, I'm going to my cell. They said, what you in the day room for? Shit, I didn't want to go in the cell at the time. I had been in there since I drove up on the bus. But Darrington it still is, I think, is a filthy place. But is the fish the administration now is a lot of blacks, whites, not many Hispanic. Uh, they feeding conditions was better than a lot of units. They fed real good. Now I don't know how they doing it today, but Darrington was a good feeding. Darrington was one of the only units that was still feeding fried chicken every week. They fed fried chicken and cinnamon rolls. I think that was on Wednesday. And to a man that's been locked up and don't hardly eat fried chicken, that was a treat. That was a treat to him. That was really a treat, and men appreciated it because you was able to buy chicken from the kitchen workers, many pieces you want. Cause they was able to feed, and steal chicken. And and some units can't even feed fried chicken. They take them from 9 o'clock when the chow house open to 3 o'clock in the evening. They still feeding, and that's why a lot of them units doesn't like to feed fried chicken, cause we love fried chicken. Everybody love fried chicken in prison, cause that's one thing you might not see unless it's a holiday. Unless it's a holiday. And that's real talk. That's real talk. Unless it's a holiday. They they not too big up on inmates fried chicken. They gonna feed you baked chicken, they gonna feed you barbecue chicken, chicken and dumplings, chicken a la king, stuff like that don't make no sense, that ain't got no taste. And they come up with these artificial brands of meat in prison now, trying to go the cheap way out, because the system is really large. It's a large system, and they are not feeding them their growth anymore. They selling the growth and feeding them out the cans of what they buy. And it's crazy because prison used to feed you out what they grew, what they raised. Inmates was looking real good, skin looking good. I'm talking about, built right. They don't want you looking like that anymore. Yeah. Let's say a bill tender, a known bill tender, right? And somebody know him. He got transferred to another unit. So they had to try to keep them bill tenders, the mixed bill tenders, on a unit together, because their life was in danger if they just sent them anywhere. It can be 2021 right now, and an ex-bill attender end up on a unit with a guy that knew him from when he was a bill attender. The word is gonna get out who he was, and all them dudes that knew him, they gonna kill him. They gonna kill him. His life, a bill attender's life, is still in danger right now today. Right now today, and they've been gone. That's just how much they scarred a man's life in there, right? I was telling y'all about a seller that I had on McConnell, and his name was Dima. And Dima was a Mandingo punk at that time. He was on East Ham, and he was a Mandingo. And you can, when they tell the stories about what took place back then, you can look at the life of of that time in their eyes, in their eyes. And when they tell of the danger of the unit and where it was and how the bill attenders acted, and it was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable because you wouldn't think that another inmate would act upon another inmate like that. Where I'm from, the neighborhood in which I'm from, say yes, because a lot of guys from my neighborhood has been to prison, but there's so many of them that's really doing the ones that's. I had a partner at the park, and he gave so much of a wonderful prison story of his experience and what he had to do. He will not do it. He will not do it because some people just don't want to go back into that stage of content that took place in their life at a time when they didn't even understand what was going on when they got sent to prison their first time. And I was totally, I'll be like, I'll be shocked. Don't nobody want to talk about, but I can understand because everybody didn't go to prison as I did. I didn't have it hard like that. See, like a lot of dudes, and maybe that was bad because I went back and I went back. I was a repeated offender. Maybe if I would have went through something like that, then I probably would have never went back. I had an uncle. He had never been to prison, but he had went as far as the rehab. Rehab was a part of the county jail here in Harris County, and the rehab was a baby penitentiary. And when you went to prison, you had to go through the rehab. But the rehab was a real physical place. And I mean, it was more than prison at that time. So, man, my uncle stayed in that jail for some months going to court, and he ended up getting out. Man, that man ain't never go back. That man ain't never go back. And it's just not for some people, the way inmates treat them and the way the laws, talk to you and all the stipulations that they have. Some people just can't go through that. It'll be that they scared. They were scared. It's just that they can't handle another man trying to tell them what to do. And that's just point blank. You got the ones that was so terrified. You got the dude that you know themselves because I remember this white guy. I remember this white dude. And man, he's proud of his mama, man. Cause his daddy wasn't trying to hit. His daddy had been to the penitentiary. And his daddy was like, man, he had to learn. He'd been told, and he had to learn, man. They was doing this boy and doing it. But I feel sorry for him because he didn't try. He didn't physically try to get the pressure off of him. He gave in. He gave in. He cried in other men's arms. That's crazy. He cried in other men's arms while being locked up. I couldn't see myself. Man, man, I would have made me a bad. I'd have got that hot water. They had them stingers back then, and boil that water, and put that snicker bar up in there with that magic shade. Oh, I'm gonna bring out all that hoe in him. I'm talking about, I'm talking about be screaming. I'm talking about they know how much hoe he had in him. Shit, man, I would have, man, I would have been a killer before I'd been abroad. I'd have been a killer before I'd been abroad, man. But I got by, I got out. I didn't, it didn't dawn on me until after I had been locked up some years that certain things I needed to do to benefit myself on the outside. You know, I talk about dudes like Cole, who was out of Fifth Ward. He was older than me, and who guided me into in the education world, and who took time to really talk to me on the regular, because I was dealing with a lot of clucks that was like me on a regular basis, running down the hall, tripping, hollering, you know what I'm saying, messing with the women, and just didn't care because I had 45 aggravated. And when you have them kind of sentences, you really just you don't care positively. You be in a negative aspect. Everything, you be ready to swing. If somebody come to you wrong, you feel like you had to swing on them. You feel like you had to make a name for yourself. And that really is not what's happening. I told you that you have dudes that's locked up that you really don't even know. You know what I'm saying? Because they wasn't involving themselves in what you was doing. I had a partner named Malcolm who was out of Sunnyside, and all he did was he go to the law library every day, stayed in there from the regular time to extra time, and he worked on his case. He studied that law, and that brought me into fold of the law library. And I started going into the law library, and I started being familiar with what took place in my case. I learned about robbery. It's so much that I learned about robbery that I'm very familiar with the law, but I can't go with law of change, but I can go with law of the past, because the law of the past represent the change of law right now today. So I really I enjoyed uh, sitting in the law library, having a peace of mind. You by yourself, and then you get with dudes, and y'all literate on some law or something of what you might know, and they enlighten you on things that you don't know about law. And I got interested in law, and it became a part of my penitentiary life. It became my education. My schooling came a part of my education. What I knew that I can gain to better my situation out here in society. So I had a good lead on a lot of guys that was in the circle with me, because they were still doing what they wanted to do, and I changed what I needed to do, and and I think it benefited me to a degree outside here, because when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with a female, and they listening to you, right? Once they found out that you have been incarcerated for so long, and some women, just they get with dudes because of sex. Dude been gone a long time. Ooh, man, I know. And then when they get with him, they find out the sex ain't all that, but it really wasn't worth what the dude took her through. So, we can't just jump in relationships because a man been gone 42 years, because, he might be a bluefoot. All right, all right. Uh, Sitting back. A bluefoot. Is a dude that's like, he don't dress up like most punks dress up in drag and stuff. He's a regular dude that don't want nobody to know. that he liked that pickle. And you know what I'm saying? And he one of the ones that get you in the cell, and then he talking about, man, what's up, man? Or want you to go up in and want to eat your pickle and all that. You can't mess with them bluefoots. They dangerous, man. They dangerous because you can't really recognize them unless you catch them. So, but that's a bluefoot, and I wouldn't want to mess. And that's my little partner, man, that I was messing with when I first came to East Ham. That's what he was. He was a bluefoot. And I didn't know it because I didn't even know what a bluefoot was at the time. I was, even though I had been in prison twice before that, I never really had done no time. So I never had a chance to really look at prison for what it was. But I remember, man, I knew a guy named James Gary. They called him Mass Murder. Some of y'all from Houston might remember him. He was original Smurf from back in the days. And that was one of my partners, man, that I was in county jail with. And I'm talking about, I even much shared the day that he was given 60 years, where he wasn't going to make parole. He had to do 20 flat years, and he wasn't going to come up into a certain time. And I seen the expression on his face. But I had gotten out of the county. I didn't go to prison at that time. He went on to prison. So after I had gotten out, I came back a year or so later, and I ended up going to prison about 2 years after this incident. But I went to Ferguson, and James Gary was on Ferguson at the time, but he was in Sid. And I was hearing about the stories of James Gary, old Mass Murder, because that was my partner. And we was on Ferguson, and James Gary had went in and made a name for himself, but not in a positive manner. So many people frowned it up on the mention of James Gary. And so I was coming from chow one day. I was coming down the hall, and then Sid was bringing his inmate, uh, taking him somewhere from behind Sid. And now go my partner's Mass Murder. Mass Murder had a big old afro, and he was looking wild. He was looking wild. And that's what we do when we go into these units, right? And we pick up all this time. We try to impress the day room. We try to impress the inmates instead of doing something with our life, because, see, he had 60 years aggravated. He had to do 20 years flat on it. And it's so much that he did gain on the later years, because I've been keeping up with him, but he did gain some things in the later years after going through so much. He had to go through so much to finally realize that, hey, man, this ain't for me. But it took a long time for him because he did over 20 years. And those are people like I met Time. Time had something like 3 life sentences, I believe. And he always used to smile. Time used to smile. He was out of Fifth Ward. And he used to smile all the time. You never know when Time might act up, because he stayed smiling even when he acted the fool. Time was smiling. I had a partner named Bobo, little Bobo. It was out of H-Town. Good fella, real good fella. Bobo was a real good fella. We ended up dealing with one another on the outside after we had gotten out. We hung around, him and his girl and my girl. We went places. We did some things with little Bobo. And K-Man and Harvey was some of the best partners I ever had. Doing time, we done time around one another for over, man, by at least by 7, 8 years, close to 10 years. Me, them three, us three, and we had a good life to be in prison, because we looked it out for one another. We know we got mad at one another because of our ways, because of the way we behaved and thought. Harvey was the youngest, so he looked at stuff differently than what me and K-Man might do. Man, see, I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? He was one of them kind of youngsters, but he was so good at heart. He loved it, me and Cave. and even out here, we dealt with one another for years out here, up until I went to on violation, and Harvey found me on violation, and he took care of me while I was in prison on my violation, and the Cave had ended up going back to his baby mama, and they got a nice home, and they got married, and Harvey has a nice home. He's a truck driver, and they doing so well, and it's just good to see these brothers that I did time with doing so well. I haven't heard from them in a little while, and that's due because of me and not because of them. Uh, my situation that I was going through medically and everything, and it kind of drained me in a sense of relationship with people of the condition that I was finding myself in medically, because you don't wake up and think that something can happen to you where you lose your sight, you go blind, you go deaf and can't hear, and and that really kind of messed me up, and it took me into that stage where I didn't want to deal with nobody, I didn't want to deal with nobody, not even some of my family members, right? But I knew that when I had this operation here, when I had this operation where they removed my foot, I I couldn't let that disrupt my thinking and my having me a happiness in life just because I lost my foot. I couldn't do that. I couldn't go through that. And I'm a man that experienced of going to prison, doing over 20 something years. I'm a man that experienced losing a limb. And those experiences alone, they not the kind of thing that just supposed to go on in a man's life or a woman's life. But I experienced that doing over 20 something years in prison and then coming out and losing a limb. Now these are struggles, right? These are struggles that we have to learn how to get out of, right? And I had to climb out of the prison situation. I had to get out of that and that mind side where I was thinking on the wrong every day, us basically. Well, I had to get over that. That was a fence I had to climb. Now I'm climbing another fence. Now I'm climbing another fence. I'm climbing a fence with one leg. I'm jumping hurdles with one leg. I gotta make it. I gotta make them, people. I have to make them. I can't fall down. I can't fall and give it up. I just can't. Another obstacles that's been placed in my way, and I have to beat it. Hey, I told y'all, when y'all tell somebody about Just Release, tell me hit that like button. Tell me hit that like button, cause ain't no telling what I might come back with next. But guess what? I'm gonna come back with something. Cause this Andre Wade with Just Release, and I'll be back.